Welcome back, folks. Dow right now up 5, Nasdaq is up 78, S&Ps are up 5.5. Let's go over to our man, Mr. Teddy Kekstadt, as we do each and every Wednesday at 40 past the hour. You can reach Teddy, folks, every trading day at forex-trading-unlock.com. That's forex-trading-unlock.com. Teddy Kekstadt, what's going on, brother?
Well, you know, it's a little kind of a quiet day in the currency markets. Dollar's a little stronger. We have some interesting days ahead of us, though. Tomorrow we have the Bank of England that's going to be a meeting, and of course we have our unemployment claims that I don't think anyone doesn't think are going to be high. And then we obviously have the unemployment number on Friday, too. So I think that we're finally going to maybe have some numbers that may mean something to get us moving in the markets.
Yeah, these. That euro last couple of days, man, has been going south, right? I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier, Teddy, about that whole German constitutional court, saying that they don't dig what the European Union is doing right now, and how do you think that's going to affect the currencies in general?
Well, I definitely think that that's where you're going to start to see divergence. So, we've been talking for weeks about the market starting to consolidate, especially the broader, the stronger major currency crosses versus the dollar.
Yes.
And if you look at like the dollar index, or remember we mentioned the 30-year bonds over the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
These charts are almost looking the same because they all are making consecutive lower move highs and higher move lows. So they're all wedging into a triangle, if you will, and getting towards that flat line base that we've been looking for. I mean, even the gold market, you're a gold guy.
Yep.
The gold chart looks the same as the 30-year chart, which looks the same as the U.S. dollar index chart does, pretty much, And I think that right now we are seeing a little bit of dollar strength, but that's only because it's holding the dollar into the middle of its range. I think where the dollar bounced on Monday, that gives you pretty much your baseline of how strong the dollar or how weak the dollar will be at most, just because, remember, what we've been talking about now for months, how the lesser currencies are still getting pummeled by the dollar. So that's going to keep the dollar index supported, So remember we were talking a couple weeks ago how, the dollar index has been a good way to kind of gauge your trend for the currencies because of the fundamental of the coronavirus.
Yes.
But now we have divergence. We don't have that anymore. The virus is factored in, and now you have, like you mentioned what's going on with Germany and what they think about what's going on versus how the EU should or should not help this current financial situation.
Right.
And this is a question of sovereignty. You remember, now, we haven't talked about Brexit in a while. Brexit is still going on. The first stage was finished 3 months ago. I mean, I haven't heard Brexit or read about Brexit since, I think, January, maybe the beginning of February.
God, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So now think about this. The Bank of England, they still have Brexit to contend with, as well as their trade negotiations with the EU. Now, especially if the EU is really going to do what they are talking about doing and Germany doesn't like that, well, now all of a sudden we have dysfunction going on in the EU with one of its major players. And I think that's going to start to cause divergence between the euro and the Swiss, the euro and the dollar, and is definitely the euro and the pound. So I think that where we've been wedging right now, after we get through the next couple of days, going into next week, I think we're going to start to see some new trends for sure. Because you can't go flatline forever with these,
right? Right. Yeah, it seems like a real fundamental issue, man, that Germany's dealing with. I mean, the history of Germany, folks, is that they're tight, man. They don't want basically.
They don't want inflation.
They don't want that stimulus.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's so. That'd be a shocker. Now another that'd be a shocker if they just turn around and tell the EU to take a hike, man. Right? I mean.
Well, wouldn't that be something? If that would tear apart the EU. There wouldn't be an EU if Germany leaves.
Right.
But you're a yen guy. Now, we've been talking about how the consolidation is going on, and now there's a potential good divergence, especially with the major currency versus the dollar is the euro. So if we see a divergence there, we're going to get some action and some swings. But now we have the yen, which that was one of the first markets to really consolidate when volatility started to drop.
Yes.
And it was riding support, but now over the past few sessions is consistently making lower move lows. So the one currency where the dollar seems to have weakness is against the yen, So, and also if you look at the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, where they had been trending, originally it was a corrective bounce that started a month and a half ago. Now it's been actually a nice uptrend, but it's not sustaining that anymore. It's buffering into resistance where it looks like it wants to consolidate and start to flatline as well, So we're seeing, I think we're going to get a pop over the next couple of weeks. I don't have any signals for you. The only one I had was on Monday with the dollar index, and we've rallied pretty much into that. So we could run out of gas right in front of this bank meeting tomorrow and also the unemployment number and be kind of dead for the next 2 days.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, too, if we just stay with the yen for a second, because what you have, folks, is that, the Japanese markets are closed all week, but yet the currency's moving now. I mean, when the Nikkei opens back up, man, it's going to be like, okay, the Nikkei cannot stand a strong yen. And as Teddy was just saying, it just broke that consolidation. So this is pretty intriguing, man, I guess and
it's not excessive, though. It's like, see, that's the one thing is with the major currency crosses, I don't think you're going to see any major trend. But now with the euro, that may start to become something if an ultimatum truly is put to the EU and they have to figure out what they're going to do. Because if all of a sudden the German parliament starts saying, hey, we're not going to contribute all this money, or if you're going to force us to do this, now we're going to start cutting funding here in these other areas.
Right.
So, and that's not a good thing. I mean, I think we don't live in the EU, so what they do is none of our business. But I think that could be the one thing that starts to unhinge the euro for sure against, like, especially the pound or the Swiss, and of course the dollar.
Yeah, no, listen, there's no doubt, man. And when you're talking a legal aspect of it in the Constitutional Court, you're talking a different ball game. That's
sure.
That's how this is laying out, folks. Okay, politically, you can have fights, you can have rhetoric, you can have all of that, but this is actually went to court, and the court, I think the court's saying they give him 60 days to prove. How do you prove? That's going to be one of the big things. Well, how do you prove that you're not going into inflation? I mean, we're all fighting this. Is it deflation or inflation that we're in, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but also this is also, remember, we started to talk about Brexit. This could fuel the support for Brexit in the UK even more, where people are going to be like, see, aren't you glad we have our sovereignty back?
Oh, I think they're right. Yeah, there's no doubt, man. I mean, and I guess the differential, Britain was so smart not giving up their currency going into the EU. I mean,
right.
If that different
they
ball
never
game,
gave
right?
up the pound.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, very smart, absolutely.
Pretty wild.
So it'll be interesting. Very interesting stuff, but I would key off the yen right now. I think that's definitely an indicator, a market that's actually got a trend going on. The other ones, it's tough right now.
Well, I like that, man, because, right now we get the gold down 18, and I know stronger yen, man, gold loves it, man. That's like giving the gold Cheerios, man.
Right,
Cheerios
and I think gold's ready to break out, too.
Yeah, no, listen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's testing the bulls and the bears here, right? Staying right at that line.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're going to go or you're not going to go. Listen,
it's
folks,
a chop fest.
Yeah, it's a chop fest. You can check out Teddy every trading day, folks, at forex-trading-unlock.com. Teddy, you have a great week, a safe week. We look forward to speaking to you next Wednesday.
Thank you. You as well. You guys take care.
Thank you, man. Stay right there, folks. Tommy and I come right back. Dow's up 77, Nasdaq's up 108, S&Ps are up 14. We'll come right back.